Because when you start praying, something happens to you. The first thing that happens to you is that you migrate from the domain of men. You come into the company of angels. That's why he said, the prayer we pray, he says, the language of angels. That means there is a time and there is a place you pray to, that you quit talking among men. You begin to talk among angels. And when you come into the company of angels, it is the things the angels experience that you experience. It's the authorities the angels wield that you wield. It's the things that can happen to those angels that can happen to you. This is why prayer makes men invincible. I told you here the other day, I said we are not ordinary men. We are God men. There's a lot of mystery associated to us. When we start praying, what we do is that we travel from the domain of men. The first place we come to is the domain of angels. That's why you see certain men, they carry so much authority, so much honor, and you are wondering, are people worshiping them? They are not ordinary men. They have ceased to live among men. They have begun to live among the angelic. So when men see them, the things that would have happened to those men if they encountered angels will begin to happen to them when they encounter those men. You will see some men, even though they told you not to kneel down before men, when you see them in the public, you will know when you will lie down. You will go back and say, but why did I lie down? That is what you would have done if you met an angel. Because prayer unlocks the angelic realm. Did you not read in Acts chapter 12? He said, as prayers was made of the church for Peter, he said, an angel of the Lord descended and smote Peter and told him, get up. And Peter stood up. Peter was walking with him. The soldiers fell down as dead men. He said they came to the gate. He said the gate opened on their own accord. He came to the gate that led to the city. The gate opened. At that point, Peter was functioning like an angel. The soldiers were not seeing the angel. They saw Peter, they fainted. Because the prayer had mobilized Peter to an angelic order. Did you read Acts 16 verse 25? He said as Paul was praying at midnight, he said the angel of the Lord descended. He said the foundation of the prison was shaking and the chains fell off, the doors opened. When the warder came in, he wanted to kill himself. Paul said no, no. He saw Paul, he fell down and worshipped him. Why? The prayer had moved Paul to the angelic realm. Paul at that point began to function like an angel. Why? He said, are they not ministry spirits sent to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation? There is a place you pray to, you literally begin to operate like an angel. You are not an ordinary man. Make no mistakes about it. God dwells in you. And when you continue like that, a point comes when you leave the realm of angels, you come to the realm of God. He said, we know not what to pray for as we ought to. He said, for the Spirit helpeth our infirmities with groanings that cannot be uttered. At that point, you become so one with God that God begins to pray on your inside. So when you come out, men will see a God. Men will look at you and literally want to worship you. People who don't know what has happened in the secret place will look at you and say, all these pastors have brainwashed people. Brainwash what? Do you know what it means to brainwash people? The people sitting here, some of them are 20, 30 years older than me. How can I brainwash them? Some people sitting here are trained doctors, trained lawyers, trained engineers. Some people sitting here have worked for the past 20 years. They've met all kinds of people. What do you mean brainwash? When you grow in prayer, you grow into the angelic order. And there's a realm where you grow into a divine order. Naturally, people will begin to honor you as if you honor God. And it's not about the preacher, it's about every believer. Did you not read about Daniel? The Bible said the king knelt down and worshipped him. Do you know who Daniel was? Daniel was the slave of the king. But through priesthood, Daniel became a god in Babylon. The king knelt down for his slave and worshipped him. What happened to the guy? He has become a god man. You are not disadvantaged. The problem is that you have not started praying. If you start praying, you will discover that you will not only have access to the voice of God, you will not only carry the presence of God, you will not only travel in the spirit, but you begin to walk in your world like a God. Because the God that is hiding on your inside will begin to manifest through you. And when men see you, it is the dimension of that God they will see. Somebody will live here tonight and begin to function in the order of dominion that prayer brings. what God does. Because as you pray, a point comes, the God life start being stirred. Even Jesus knew the technology. Hope you know Jesus became a man. So when Jesus struggled with men and it doesn't work, he goes back to the mountain. And the Bible said, as he prayed, he said the fashion of his countenance was altered. His raiment began to glister. The same Jesus they were arguing with, when he's coming down from the mountain, everybody comes to him and says, Master, what has happened? He had clothed himself with the God dimension. The disciples thought it was about oil. He gave them oil at first. They went out and cast demons. When they came back the second time, they cast out another demon. The demon started slapping them. And they are wondering, is it not we who cast demons yesterday? When you cast out demons yesterday with oil, today you need another glory. And when Jesus came down, the same demonized person saw him and fell down. And he said, let him go. The only way to function as a God is to ensure that by prayer you are constantly traveling in the spirit. Most of us have only traveled to Kenya. We have only traveled to Ghana. We have traveled to Guinea. And when we come back and say, I've gone around the world. I was in Benin Republic last week. Thank God for your journeys. But I would rather travel to heaven than to go to the United States. I would rather go to the realm where God dwells than to go to where man dwells. And come back and feel a false sense of importance. What is the big deal traveling to London? What is the big deal traveling to Ghana? What is the big deal traveling to Kenya? Are they not men dwelling there? What makes it important is because I went there on the kingdom assignment. But for me to feel important that I travel to the US so something has added to me is a sign that I'm falling. Because every day I either encounter angels or I encounter the God of heaven. And when I come down, I can be in Africa here. People from the US will follow me. Because it's not about where you go in the natural, it's about where you go in the spirit. And many people here by prayer, they will begin to travel. And as they travel in the spirit, your sons and your daughters will come from afar. Strangers will stand to build your walls. Because you are not disadvantaged. You are the help that the world is looking for. This is what prayer does for you. And when you begin to pray with this kind of consciousness, you will naturally begin to exercise dominion. Is it important to pray? Yes. Is it important to pray loud? Yes. Is it important to pray long? Yes. But more importantly, make sure you find the voice of God when you pray. Make sure you carry the presence of God when you pray. Make sure you are transformed when you pray. And make sure you travel in the spirit when you pray. This is where your advantage is. When these things happen to you, you will dominate your world. People who were with you a month ago will come to you and say, sir, what happened? God happened to me. I pray. Because if you begin to pray, it doesn't matter the status you had before. God can change it. Because prayer can make you literally become like you. Bow your heads and pray. Ask the Lord for the grace for prayer. Many Christians are talking. Many Christians are struggling. Very few are praying. You can't deceive people. See, with prayer you can't deceive people. Because your results will show whether you are praying or not. The things you change or the transformation you enjoy, they are all testimonies whether you are praying or not. You can't deceive men. The Pharisees tried it, but they were hypocrites and they had no results. When men pray, they create change. The Lord for the grace to pray. He said they looked unto him and they were radiant, and their faces were radiant, and they were not ashamed. Ask God for the genuine grace of prayer. If we must change, the prayer must be added to our menu. If we must change our world, prayer must be added. It's not about leading people to pray in a fellowship. What is your prayer life? There are men that have prayed until the voice of God dwells with them. There are men that have prayed, the presence of God travels with them. There are men that have prayed, even while they are yet walking on earth, they are in the spirit. Ask him for the grace of prayer. I know you are a businessman. I know you are a singer. I know you are a preacher. I know you are a politician. But do you pray? If you don't pray, you will be swallowed up. You are in the midst of battle.